For centuries, the Society of the Black Dragon has sanctioned an ancient rite of combat, known as the Kumite, open only to the world's most lethal warriors. It has never been won by a Westerner.
You are not Japanese. I can do it.
Now, for the first time, the true story of America's super agent Frank Dukes can be revealed.
Uncle Sam can't afford to let you get hurt.
I'm going to Hong Kong.
Frank is going to fight in the Kumite, and we're here to stop him.
An awesome human weapon.
It hurts me just looking at it.
Who infiltrates the Chinese underworld.
I did not come this far to stop now.
Take him.
To enter a forbidden competition.
Couldn't you just get me in?
Strict rules, no press.
You telling me you never break rules?
Where every fighting style, every worthy opponent, every deadly technique clash in savage combat.
Time to separate the men from the boys.
And only one will triumph.
Now I will break you.
International martial arts sensation Jean-Claude Van Damme in Bloodsport, the true story of the ultimate champion.
Welcome to the latest episode of the B Movie Club. I'm your host, Kevin. This week we'll be discussing the 1988 martial arts classic, Bloodsport, starring Jean-Claude Van Damme, and shockingly Forrest Whitaker's in this one. For those of you joining us for the first time, each week on the B Movie Club I discuss certain guilty pleasures and forgotten classics of the past. You can go ahead and go to our page on Facebook, Original B Movie Club. Give us the big thumbs up. Go ahead and follow us on YouTube, KD9575. Hit the subscribe button. It's totally free. You can follow me on Twitter at the B Movie Club. If you do this, you get all the latest updates whenever I post a new video. Any interesting articles I find, I funnel it on to you guys. You reap all the benefits of my hard work. Okay? So go ahead and do that. Don't forget to spread the word. Tell all your friends and neighbors and enemies and strangers on the street. So there you have it. Bloodsport. In this movie, Frank Dukes is some sort of government agent or military guy who possesses unique and incredible fighting abilities. As a child, he broke into a neighbor's house to steal the guy's samurai sword and was quickly subdued by the guy's son. Evidently, the man, his name is Senzo Tanaka. He is a great teacher of the ninjutsu arts. And basically he adopts young Frank Dukes, not legally, but he takes him under his wing and teaches him the fine arts of ninjutsu along with his son. Now at some point the son dies. We don't know what happened to the son. So Frank Dukes basically convinces his teacher, his shidoshi, if you will, to teach him all the skills. He's initially reticent to do so because evidently he may have just noticed that Frank Dukes is white, and that's against the rules. You don't teach the white man the ancient secrets of the Far East. So, but eventually he teaches him. The training consists of a lot of, I'm hitting you with sticks, I'm blindfolding you and then trying to punch you, I am tying you to a tree to make your legs spread out. I don't know. It's all very elaborate. I can't explain it. So that's years and years ago. In the present day, Frank has received an invitation to a secret underground full-contact martial arts tournament in China. And he's determined to go to honor his teacher, who is now dying. He's old and infirmed. So to honor his teacher, he's going to go. Unfortunately, he's got these government agent types who are after him because the government has spent a lot of money training Frank Dukes. Training him in what way? We don't know, because obviously we've already established that his martial arts teacher is the one who taught him all his skills. So he's got to evade the government agents, get to China to participate in this tournament. Now, he's never done it before, a tournament of this level. On the way, he meets a buddy, Ray Jackson, who's also an American. Although we assume Frank Dukes is American, but because it's played by Jean-Claude Van Damme, he has a crazy accent, so who knows? He meets Ray Jackson, who is another guy who's going to participate in the Kumite. Ray is evidently some kind of a crazy biker guy who doesn't seem to have a fighting technique. He's just very big and just punches people, sort of thing, and he throws them. So, some sort of fighting technique. So, we get there, we discover that the big champion of the Kumite is a man named Chong Li, who's from Korea, who has this reputation of just being like the Terminator. He's unstoppable and in fact killed a guy in the last Kumite. So they're very concerned about this, as you might imagine. There are 3 ways to win a match in the Kumite. As I said, it's a tournament. You can either knock the guy out, you can literally knock him off the mat, just throw him out of the ring, or get him to give up, say, mate. So if you put him in like a submission hold or a choke hold or an arm bar or something, that hurts, mate, I give up, kind of thing. So that's how you win. Now, while he's in China, Frank meets a young female reporter who wants the inside scoop of the Kumite, and let's just say she gets a little more than she bargained for. She gets she gets the ins and the outs from Frank Dukes as well, not just his fighting, but also a little romance. So there you go, good times. So the tournament goes on. Frank is showing an ability to just kick everybody's butt pretty easily because he has these special skills. Like I said, he can be hit with sticks, and that doesn't seem to hurt him. He can do the splits. Throughout the tournament, he's able to demonstrate these skills. At one point, he's fighting ostensibly a sumo wrestler of some sort, just a big fat guy wearing like a loincloth or something. And he's able to use this, do the splits and punch the guy right in the giblets. Boom. That takes care of that guy. Some other fights that occur. Eventually, Ray Jackson, who's now Dukes' big close friend now, is matched up against Chong Li, who is also just killing people, and not literally killing people yet, but he's beaten everybody very easily. So Jax goes up, punches him, knocks him down, and immediately starts celebrating. Hey, I got him! I got him! Which, of course, Chong Li gets up and promptly dispatches him and kicks him in the head. So Jax has to go to the hospital. We don't know if Jackson is suffering permanent brain damage because, frankly, he was not all that swift to begin with, or if he's paralyzed, whatever. They show him in a bed but I'll be okay. We'll be out of hospital soon, I guess. I don't know, he got kicked in the head. Who knows? It's all very complicated. I don't want to spoil everything, but believe it or not, it comes down to a showdown between Chong Li and Frank Dukes, and who will win, nobody knows. Some things about this movie. Jean-Claude Van Damme was a relative unknown at this point. He'd played the villain in a movie called No Retreat, No Surrender a few years earlier. He'd done some extra work. So this is the first big thing that kind of put him on the map. When they filmed this movie, it was actually it was considered a horrible movie, and the studio didn't want to release it. They put it on the shelf. And allegedly, Jean-Claude Van Damme himself went in there and orchestrated the re-edit, which turned it into the classic that it is today. Ray Jackson is played by an actor named Donald Gibb, who's most famously known for playing Ogre in the Revenge of the Nerds movies. So, in case you recognized him. So that's him. Like I said, Forrest Whitaker's in this. He was actually in a lot of things in the 80s, kind of under the radar. Obviously, he was in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. He was in Good Morning Vietnam. He was in this. So there you go. This movie is based upon allegedly true events that occurred to the real Frank Dukes. Although the real Frank Dukes is from like Los Angeles area, so who's to say? Who claimed to be like in the special forces, working for the CIA, and had won this kumite in real life, and actually had a trophy to show for it. Now, some people said this is all baloney. There's never been anybody to even verify that the kumite even really took place. So we don't know if his story is true. Now, ironically, he was brought in as a technical consultant, but also as like a fight choreographer and a trainer for Jean-Claude Van Damme. Now, here's where it gets also interesting. There's questions as to whether or not Jean-Claude Van Damme actually has martial arts training. Some people claim he had ballet training. He had like dance training, which allowed him to be very limber and to do those splits. Where he claims that he studied karate, studied kickboxing, and had won a variety of tournaments throughout Europe. So Frank Dukes actually said that there was no way that Jean-Claude actually had any training. You know, while he was training him, he thought he didn't even show the basics of it. It's hard to say what's going on here. So it's all very strange. Ironically, Jean-Claude and Frank Dukes allegedly collaborated together to write the movie The Quest that came out about 5 years later. It was like kind of a Bloodsport knockoff. It was also about a tournament that took place in the Far East, blah, blah, blah. Frank Dukes actually went ahead and sued Jean-Claude because his name wasn't on the script initially, for millions of dollars, even though that movie was a total flop. So what are you going to do? So if you watch the fights, you've got Chong Li, played by Bolo Yeung. You might remember him because he was in Enter the Dragon about 15 years prior with Bruce Lee. He was a bodybuilder, which is why he's got like these huge pecs, and he's a master. Even though his character was from South Korea and would probably be doing Taekwondo or something like that, the real Bolo, he was a master of Kung Fu, so he was probably doing Kung Fu moves. And he was, in fact, 50 years old when he fought Jean-Claude in this movie, so what are you going to do? Most of the fighters use some combination of Kung Fu or karate. There was the sumo guy who, like Ray Jackson, it wasn't clear what their move was, just kind of, the sumo guy would like put you in a bear hug. There's a lot of like, I'm going to give you a bear hug, so get ready for that. There was a Muay Thai fighter, which was kind of interesting. He was the one that he fights Jean-Claude, and they're both just kicking each other. So that's always fun. Like I said, Ray Jackson didn't really seem to have a fighting style, even though he was based upon a real person who actually had he was like a karate master. Ray Jackson, again, consisted of punching people and throwing them out of the ring. There was an African fighter, evidently, who was kind of like a monkey. I mean, he was crawling on the ground and rolling around. That's no fighting style. I mean, it was created for the movie. It's all very strange. One thing about this movie is they added a lot of sound effects afterwards to make every fight seem more epic. But again, only one person is killed in the course of this movie, and it's very clear. Like, everybody reacts with horror. Oh my goodness! Like the guys who run the tournament turn away and bow their heads. But there's like 5 scenes in this where it's like because they add the soundtrack. The guy's got him in a submission hold. Then you hear it's like, so did you just break his neck? Then the sumo guy gets the monkey guy in a bear hug, and you hear and it's like, did he break his back? What's going on? So it doesn't seem like it's supposed to be like this bloodbath, but with the sound effects, who knows what's going on, frankly. This movie, like I said, put Jean-Claude on the map. He went on to do other things such as Cyborg, Death Warrant, Lionheart. You remember all these, don't you? Before finally really breaking into mainstream movies with actual directors and stars and things like that. As I was talking about previously, in his training growing up, you see them use these special skills. He gets hit with sticks, he does the splits, he's blindfolded and they throw punches. Throughout the course of the movie, obviously, there's an opportunity for him to use each of these skills. He does the splits when he battles a sumo wrestler. He demonstrates that his abdomen is very strong when he gets into a fight with the Muay Thai fighter and they're just kicking each other in the side, and how he's impervious. Strangely, in this movie, his ability to fight blindfolded comes into effect when he fights Chong Li. Spoiler alert. Chong Li throws something in his eye in full view of the entire arena. Everyone sees him do this, like this white powder that blinds him. I guess there's no rules against that? I don't know. And after getting blinded, it's like he develops extrasensory perception and actually is a better fighter. It's like now he's suddenly able to determine not just where the guy is, but at one point Chong Li throws the referee at him, and he grabs the referee and immediately knows, okay, that's the referee, I shouldn't punch him. If you're a better fighter, blinded, then why wouldn't you just, hey, give me that stuff so I can become a better fighter? Anyway, good stuff, good times had by all. This movie is currently on Netflix, streaming instantly. If you haven't seen it, rush out and see it. I think it's hilarious. It is great. It's probably one of the better Jean-Claude Van Damme movies, in my humble opinion. Although it currently has a 33% rotten on Rotten Tomatoes. A travesty. A travesty. Jean-Claude's acting is not what you call good or even adequate, but the fight scenes are excellent. I highly recommend it. Go and check it out. Next week, I'm moving away from the action genre back to the comedy area. We're going to be doing Wayne's World, starring Dana Carvey and Mike Myers. It's an all-star cast. It is streaming instantly on Netflix, so rush out and see it. Send me any of your favorite scenes, favorite quotes, comments, and questions, and I just may talk about it on the show. Also, please send me movie suggestions. I keep getting good movie suggestions. I add them to my queue. As soon as they're available, boom. That's what we do on this show. As you know, I end every episode with a totally out of context quote, and here it is. You break my record. Now I break you, just like I broke your friend. So there it is. That was Bloodsport, baby. Next week, Wayne's World. Thank you for joining us, and be well.